Oh, right here. I got one.
Oh.
Dude, look at that.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
So I bet that one's probably broken. Look at that one. Oh my God. Sorry, Andrew, we can't get to yours. We've got mine, which is maybe better.
Dude, this one's a smoker. Woo.
Have to see what it is.
Oh, dude, I got a freaking good one right here.
Nice.
Oh.
I don't know what the F word is in Indian, but you know they had to say that when
They snap that in half.
I'd love to just make up something like "Dah!" You know? Like, "Dah!" Look at that bad boy.
Oh, son! Dude, that looks like it's all there.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're in the Mississippi Delta today. We took the morning off a deer hunt to go and look for some arrowheads with our buddy Kyler. He's got a pretty cool collection, and he offered to take us, so we're gonna go see what we can find.
It's actually easiest to do this after it rains because the ground is dark and the points in the rocks can be kind of shinier with better contrast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like finding sheds after a rain.
But the hard part is you can't walk in the fields after it rains. You know, what we're looking for right now is we're looking for chips. You're looking for small broken pieces of rock. You notice we don't see any rocks anymore?
Yeah.
Like as we got further away from the road, they're gone. So any rocks you see now are most likely gonna be from campsites. Once we get into my core area over there, like where I've been finding them, it'll pick up a lot.
Yeah, I think I might have some flakes over here.
Yes, that is. So do you see how that's pedestaled? That's what we call being pedestaled.
Yeah.
So don't touch it yet. But what happens is that was high up in the row, and then it's rained 5 or 10 times, and so that's just what we call a chip. That's going to be what they break off or nap off the side of a preform to start to make the point. So yeah, pick that up. That's a chip. That's what the jar's full of. But you see it sitting up on something. Isn't that cool? I mean, look how tall. That was almost a centimeter tall. And so we'll find. I mean, I've found so many handfuls of those things. I'll just sometimes at the end of the day, if I don't find any points, I just throw them back on the ground and pick them up next year. I'll leave them for my kids. But yeah, that's a chip. So that means we're getting close.
So one more question about this: how do you know it's a chip? What about this tells you that it's not just a random rock?
Well, it's smooth and it's sharp, right? So it's been napped off. Any other rock that you find that's just a regular rock is going to be rounded. I mean, I'm not trying to sound redundant here. It'll look like a rock. This looks like it's been worked, right? It's very sharp. It's
See, like one
pointy.
edge is kind of like rough looking, and the other side is smooth.
Yeah. So this is just a chip and a flake. We're going to find 100 more of these today. In the next 20 minutes or so.
Okay.
So
we're on the right track.
That's a good sign. So we're at the kind of the peak of elevation here, and we're going to start going down here to the north a little bit, and we should start to pick up some more around here.
Okay.
So let me get back on my row.
Dude, now I'm in the zone. It's like 4 p.m. The wind dies. You're like ready.
Yeah. As Garrett likes to say, you might as well go ahead and draw your bow back. A lot of freaking deer tracks.
Oh, right here. I got one.
Oh.
Dude, look at that.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
So I bet that one's probably broken.
Yeah.
But yes, that is a point. Pick it up. Get it out of there.
Oh.
Dude, it's huge.
Holy crap, dude.
Yeah.
Look at that thing.
That's a big one, dude.
Dang, look at the serration on the bottom.
So that's the base, and that's just the tip broke off.
Dude, heartbreaker.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
Look at that, man.
Yeah. Nice job, dude.
Thank you, sir.
See, now you kind of see what you're looking for, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
That is sick.
Like, okay, you found it in this dark spot. So look at that contrast. But,
Okay.
I mean, but if this were here like that,
Oh yeah.
look at how much lighter this is. It's hard to find, you know? So this is what's easy to find is when you've got this wet dirt versus this dry dirt.
So that's why it's better to look after a good rain or something.
Yeah, if you can get out here in your boots, it is.
Yeah, and not get sucked up by all the Mississippi mud.
Dude, look at this. This is a bullet.
Oh, dude, right here next to it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's probably a 223 maybe. Look at that. That's a bullet.
Look at that, dude.
That's crazy.
Two different kinds of
It's, yeah, two different projectiles. Yeah. What is that, 2 feet away?
yeah.
Yeah, that's what's so cool.
Oh,
about
that's
this thing.
sick, man. Right here on the high spot, just like you talked about too. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I've never walked right exactly where we are. I've been 200, 300 yards over, but you know, this is a big field. It's hard to walk by yourself.
Yeah.
You know, but that's cool. I've never seen that. We do find some Civil War stuff out here too. That's obviously not, but that's a modern round. That looks like a 223. Like shooting pigs.
Man, that's awesome. All right, off to a good start.
Yeah, we
Cool.
are. All right, remember your row.
Yep.
I'm gonna get back on mine. Hey, here you go. Oh, it's another heartbreaker, but it's still a good one.
Oh, I want to see it. Oh, dude.
Yeah, heartbreaker.
Holy smoke, right next to a chip too. Wow, look at that.
Yeah. So, like we were talking, since they're making them right here, like I said, I don't know what the F word is in Indian, but you know they had to say that when
When they snapped that in half.
I love to just make up something like "da," you know, like "da." they get this far with it, and it's just, you know, they got to throw it out. So, unfortunately, when you're finding these, where you're finding the chips, that's the workshop. That's where they were making them. So you're gonna find a lot of broken ones too. But we find a handful of really good ones around here too.
Yeah. Oh, this might be one. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Look at that. Could that be like a? I've seen people talk about these like a drill point, possibly.
Yes, correct. Yeah, it could be a drill point that broke. But yeah, we find a few of those out here. I don't find a ton of drill points though. Not a ton.
That's pretty sweet, man. That could be one like that maybe was used for something else, and then they broke it and tried to repurpose it.
But look, there's a chip there. There's a chip there. There's a chip here. I mean,
This looks like
that's just the starter rock. You know,
preform.
maybe. And a lot of times, like here, this one in my pocket, I found this by the Jeep. So like this is what they would start with, right? And then they make that initial hit, and if it's too big or it's not the way that they wanted, they'll throw the whole thing away, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's probably the same thing with that.
Oh yeah, it looks like there's flakes.
Yeah. So I mean,
Knocked
I'll
off.
leave that one there. Look at that bad boy.
Oh, son! Dude, that looks like it's all there.
Yeah. This is so exciting.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Dang, man. Oh, that's a freaking good one.
Yeah. How cool is that?
Oh my gosh, that one's going in the case.
Oh yeah.
Let's go.
Isn't that neat? So
Dang.
we were just saying how we didn't find a lot of red ones, and this is that red rock. I don't even know what kind of rock it's called. Yeah, this is single bevel technology, cut on contact, clockwise rotation. Yeah, he's probably running 4-fletch if I had to guess. Yeah, 4-fletch. Yeah.
Dude, they're so heavy, man. Like how many grains do you think that thing is? Like compared to a broadhead today?
I would guess this is probably 250. Here, you guess.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's not as heavy as I thought it would be.
That's what she said.
It does look like a single bevel when you look at it.
Isn't that crazy?
Did they do that? Is that a thing?
I don't think so. I think they were just hoping it came out sharp, man. Well, we've been walking for 20, 25 minutes, and he almost just stepped on that one. Hold on.
Oh my gosh.
But where we're standing is the best kind of concentration so far.
Yeah.
Of chips and points and everything. And we almost just stepped on one. This is a broken. I'm not sure if it's a base or a tip, but it's probably a base, if I had to guess. But this is one where I said, what was the Indian curse word I made up? I don't know what they would say, but they had to have said it on this one, you know. But we have, where we're standing, I can see between, 8 and 12 chips, like right there,
Yeah.
right there. They're all kind of all over us right here. So this is, you notice we're almost at the top of this ridge. We're on a downslope.
Yeah.
And so imagine if this whole area was flooded, would the water line have ended right there?
Yeah. Yeah.
During a seasonal flood in the springtime. So we don't really know what the elevation of the water would be or the height of the water would be during a flood, but if they were living at these high spots, this might be, dude, they could have had their dugout canoes parked right here or right there, pulling up, and they just went that way and this way and that way and went to the next high spot.
Yeah.
But that was life back then. But there's a chip. There's a chip. You eventually get into them so thick where you can't carry all these anymore. And I start leaving the chips. And the nice thing about leaving the chips is that it's a good indication of where you're finding stuff last year. Big old
Oh
broken
man,
rock.
this is like all smooth, so check this out.
Yeah.
Is that just a rock?
I don't know. Pick it up. Might have been.
Oh,
dude,
no.
that was the end of a celt.
Dude, that thing is so freaking slick.
Yeah.
Holy crap, feel that.
Yeah, that's the end of a celt. See how it's broken?
No way.
Yeah, that's the end of a tiny little hand axe that they would put in there. So, yeah, get you a shot of that. Yeah, that's the fourth celt we found. I saw that over there. I was waiting for us to get up the row. I thought it was just going to be a chip off of smooth rock.
I thought it was a,
But that
a
is
leaf at
that's
first.
the end of a celt.
Wow,
Isn't that awesome?
that is super cool.
Like
Oh,
that.
I got a whole point. Oh, I think I got 2 points right here.
No way.
Dude, I'm having a great time. This is so fun, dude.
Oh yeah, that is a whole point. Yeah, that's a really good pedestal
And
one.
right here.
Yeah. That one's probably not.
That looks like a
That-
flake, actually.
That's just a flake, but that is the whole point.
Okay, yeah, get real good B-roll of that, like pedestaled.
Pedestaled up.
Dude, now you gotta find someone who can like tell us what all these are.
Yeah, there's a Mississippi
Ready?
archaeology page that they can usually tell you what period they're from. They can't tell you what year, but they can say, oh, that's archaic period. That'll be from 7,000 BC to 4,000 BC.
Gotcha.
You know,
Now, would that be an arrowhead? Is that small enough to be an
no,
arrowhead?
it's still a spear point.
Okay,
Yeah. That's still-
interesting. Dude, look at where it was pedestaled. There's like a perfect imprint of the broadhead or arrowhead, whatever you call it.
Has a live edge.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude.
All right, you ready?
All right, so
All right.
now we're
This is
fingers crossed.
This is an aspen. You can tell it's an aspen because of the way it is. It's broken. I know it's broken.
Oh no!
What a heartbreaker.
Dang, man.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so thin too, man. Duh. I found them in Alabama, and all the ones I find in Alabama are quartz, and they're real fat and you know not that fine.
Yeah.
These are
Pretty
fine.
crazy.
These suckers are fine.
Yeah. There's another. It's not really a preform, but it's kind of getting there. You know, they just discard these things. See how much natural rock edge that has, like that smooth side. Once they would break that way, they would just start over.
This is so freaking fun. Finding treasure. Look at this. Pedestaled up. Just missing the very tip of it. That's pretty cool, man.
So here's a funny story. This is what it reminds me of. When I was in college, I went to college in New Orleans, and I worked on Bourbon Street during Mardi Gras. Dude, people would drop $100 bills, sunglasses, iPods, cell phones, wallets, purses. I mean, all sorts of stuff that a drunk person could accidentally fumble out of their pocket. And if you were alert and smart, you were working, not, you know, hammered drunk, you'd just be looking down on the ground through a crowd. While you're walking around, you'll find 20s, hundreds. I mean, I found hundreds about 5 or 6 times over a year or two during Mardi Gras. Ever since then, I always like look down on the ground trying to find stuff to pick up. I can honestly tell you that my skills that I learned drunk on Bourbon Street have really helped out my arrow hunting. Big time. Big time. All right, let's see what this is. This one looks like a good one, but with a broken post. You ready? You know what this reminds me of? You know those people that open baseball cards on YouTube, and they're like, come on, you know, whichever baseball player they want. They're like, that's the last card. It's got to be the good one. Like, that's how I feel right now. Like, we're about to pop this bad boy out. We're about to see what it is.
Oh, dude, I got a freaking good one right here.
Nice.
Oh,
This one broke on the tip and the post back here. Let's see what he's got. Look at that one. Oh my God. Sorry, Andrew, we can't get to yours. We've got mine, which is maybe better, and I don't know. Are you ready? Oh, it's almost perfect. The base is a little broken, but how sweet is that?
dude,
Yeah.
we're finding some good stuff,
Yeah,
man.
dude. This is good.
Dude, this one's a smoker. It's so, woo.
Yeah, dude. Oh, that's beautiful.
Dude, look at that freaking thing.
Sick.
It's got a little ding on the side, it looks like.
Dude, that's beautiful.
Dang.
I'm really glad earlier I said we don't find a lot of red ones, because we found 2 really good red ones.
Yeah, dude, you reverse jinxed it.
I did.
Good job.
Here, open your hand and angle it down. So.
I unjinxed it. Just same color as your flesh, man. Same color as your skin.
That's so,
Your cold hands.
my cold hands. Let me put it on the. God, dude,
That's sweet.
that thing is freaking wild. Holy crap!
Yeah. Let me see.
So now, would that be like a knife or
No,
a
this
spear
would
point?
be a spear point. Yeah, the knives are usually longer, but it's a similar shape to it. You know.
Dude,
yeah.
imagine jamming that up into a freaking mastodon or something. I don't know if it's that
Yeah,
old, but
ground sloth. This is all you got.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That's my preferred setup if I'm hunting ground
Yeah,
sloth.
I like to ground sloth hunt from the ground.
Tell me about this jar right here. This full of flakes and stuff. I'm actually curious about all three of these, but especially this one right here. So like,
Sure. So this is stuff that we find in our fields. So we've got, like I said, 1,000 acres of ag fields, and I was hunting along a river one day, and I was walking out, and I found one small broken arrowhead, or point as they call it, because they're not arrowheads. We'll get into that later, and that set everything into motion. Now my buddies and I look for these points out in the field, and these are the flakes or the chips from them napping them. So like this is just some of the pieces that we find. And some of them are, I mean, I've got all the really good ones hanging on the wall inside, but most of them are just chips from them napping or preforming rocks to get to a point where they can turn it into an actual point. And actually yesterday while we were walking to a stand, I found this, which is a broken preform. So see how it's broken off the tip there. This is the kind of the shape that they would get it into right before trying to get it into a true point. And the reason why they call them a point is because these can be anywhere from 2,000 years old to 13,000 years old. They go through multiple time periods in history. So there's like pre-archaic, archaic, Mississippian period, woodland period, and we don't really know exactly, you know, if this is 8,000 years old, 6,000 years old, etc. I don't know. There's a lot of people that do, like a lot of the archaeologists, but rock hounding in the Delta is a huge thing because these people lived on the rivers and on the bayous of these areas that we're hunting today for over 10,000 years.
Yeah.
Now, just to kind of put this in perspective, this predates what we know as Indians, right? These were not like the Chippewa. These were not the Choctaw. These were just small communities of people that lived here over 10,000 years ago. And this is what they left behind.
and so like the Indian nations that you think of today, that's more of like a,
It's modern. That's
Right.
In relative time, that's like a modern Indian because the inhabitants of this area back then didn't have a name. They weren't tightly knit enough into communities of hundreds.
they
You
weren't
would
like a
have-
nation.
You would have dozens of people that lived together for 20 and 30 years, not hundreds, not thousands.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, so these are flakes. These are some other things that we find in the field. This is what they call a hammerstone. This is kind of neat. I found a bunch of these. So you see how kind of beat up this edge is? See how beat up that edge is?
Oh, dude.
So what they would do
That
is
is
they
freaking
would.
cool.
So this would be what's called chert gravel, and this would be some sort of quartz, and this would be harder than this, and they would take this and essentially beat this into a specific form. Now I've never tried to do it. It's not easy to do, and I think this one's pretty big. Also, maybe you can get your hand in there. I can't get my fat hand in there. But that one might be a little beat up. Yeah, see how beat up that end is right there,
Wow.
right? And this end, but then the rest of the rock is pretty smooth. So I've probably got 20 or 30 of these. I usually find them on my four-wheeler, and they just hang around in the back rack until I get back here and do something with them. But like get that copper thing out of there. We find other stuff in the fields, and it's cool because people lived here for forever. So this is off a 1931 Chevrolet truck.
No way.
Okay,
Dude.
And so it's not uncommon for me to find this and this 10 feet from each other. Okay. And so it's like the physical representation of time and the fact that ultimately we're not here very long.
Yeah.
And
right.
what you leave behind is really interesting. There's like a copper fork down there, a brass fork that I found. There's a ball valve. I found the lower unit to a boat motor. I mean, we find all sorts of stuff in the fields. And then obviously you find other things like we find bearings and plow parts and things like that. And we find horseshoes, everything from when they were plowing by hand.
Yeah, we saw a horseshoe yesterday.
All the way up to like modern farming today. So it's interesting. We found a ton of glass of all colors, green, white, amber, blue, you name it. And so this is treasure hunting. Like this is what my kids and I do. That we treasure hunt. We find clay balls. We find X heads. We find all sorts of stuff, and it's fun to just walk through the fields and see what you find.
Yeah. Now, on this stuff too, like the hammerstones and then the chips and flakes and everything. So when you start finding this stuff, you're at like a manufacturing site essentially, right?
Yeah.
Like that's where they were making points.
Correct. So I do find a few good points in the areas that I find the chips. And the chips are typically like the alarm to be like, okay, there's some stuff around here. That's where they were living. You'll notice that we're going to find the chips at the higher ground for that area. Now, it might only be a foot or two elevation, but you got to remember this is way before levee systems. This is where it would seasonally flood every year, and where you're going to find the chips are where we believe people were living because it was the high ground. Now, you imagine during a flood, it might be, a plot of land that's only 1 acre that's above water and everything else around them is flooded, and they've got, dugout canoes and things like that pulling up to their campsite. But that's where we're finding kind of the worst points because they were either the rejects or they were just lost. I've found some pristine ones where I've found broken ones and ones with broken posts and broken tips or broken midsections, etc. And then I typically find the best ones and the coolest ones around nothing at all. Like just out, like further, I'll never find anything else around it ever again. That's where I think they were actually throwing them. Using an outlet, trying to
travel
deer, traveling, etc.
Like how many arrows have you lost walking through the woods? A modern quiver.
6 or 7.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I wonder how many they lost it while they were hunting or walking around traveling or whatever.
Or they threw it at an animal and the animal ran 600 yards and died and it broke off. I mean, the same thing happened back then as it does now. You know, so that's the cool part is. Like when we're walking to the woods, we find arrowheads, we find field points, or I call them field points because we find them in a field, but we find points, and we don't truly know exactly how old they are, but I've got a collection of them, and maybe one day somebody can give me a breakdown of what style they are, how old they are, things like that.
Yeah. Let's look at the one that you found yesterday. I think it's still on the table, or a couple days ago.
Yeah.
This one's really interesting to me because you could almost take it out and kill a deer with it right now.
Oh, it's sharp.
Like it's still sharp. I'm like, how is that even possible? I guess it's just been sitting in dirt for so long.
Yeah.
It's not really moving around or anything.
You can't hurt them either. So, they can be plowed over for 200 years and they're not going to really get hurt or broken, But yeah, I found that. I parked the Jeep in the field and I've got some spots that are pretty go-to for me every year, and I found that one in a couple minutes.
Yeah, man, that thing is...
So what happens, we don't really find them until after Christmas because they cut the crops in October, and then they typically come back and they'll disc late October, and they'll turn everything in. Like they'll flip the dirt over, and then what you need is a series of rains. You need a lot of rain that's going to essentially wash that topsoil off, and what'll happen is let's take this beanie, for example. If this is the top of a row of a field and this is a valley right here and then there's another row beside it, what'll happen is you get enough rains and this will get what's called pedestaled to where that rain can't move the field, the point, but it can move the dirt around it. And so what'll end up happening is it'll just kind of be sitting there on its own little mound of dirt if you get enough heavy
just right there for you to find it.
Yeah. and so it's not that hard to find, but then there's another problem. This is why we look for them so many times a year. If you have one that's in a valley, like the low point between rows, and it kind of just when they till it up, that's where it ends up. Well, you get too much erosion off of this row, it'll cover it up. Oh. You're right. So it's not, hunting at the end of the season isn't exactly the right thing to do, is to wait. I mean, we hunt 5-6 times a year for these things, especially after a big rain, because that dirt will flatten out those rows. It'll fill up the valleys with this much sediment, and then anything that happened to be at the bottom will just be covered up.
I got you.
Yeah.
So that's how you can go back to the same spot year after year after year and keep finding new stuff.
Yes.
Like, I guess it'd be kind of hard to hunt it out. I mean, there's probably thousands and thousands of them laying around.
100%. I mean, I've got 100 on the wall in here, and I've been doing this for 3 years.
Man.
So the thing that's cool is that I'm not the first person to find these in this area. It's not possible, because people were farming this manually less than 100 years ago. So that people walking through the fields, not on a tractor, but on a horse and a plow, were finding these on top, and they had to have found buckets of them.
Oh, I bet they found some good ones too back then.
Yeah, and so we're finding what's left. And so it kind of brings up the thought of like, well, what if we went through and like got dirt loads and sifted through it, kind of like how they find gold in Alaska. Yeah. And we kind of like scraped up the top of the rows and we got them all out of there, right? Well, that would be cool, because you'd find hundreds, if not thousands, of points. But you would also eliminate 20 to 50 years of looking for them, right? And then my kids won't find them, and then my grandkids won't find them. And so what's neat is the odds of something being brought to the surface by a plow and then being just below the surface to where when you wash the dirt off with rain, it'll be sitting there for you to find it. That's repeatable for millennia.
Yeah.
As long as you're still farming, And so I don't want to take that away from my kids. I'd rather find 5 or 10 a year than find 1,000 once. You know? So it's cool, man. You want to come see inside?
Yeah, I want to see the rest of the collection, dude.
I started buying these shadow boxes, and I originally tried to Velcro, like these little Velcro tabs on the back of the points, and then on the back of the shadow box, so you could take them off and look at them. It gets so hot in here in the summertime, those all kind of melted, so we just went to hot gluing them, which doesn't hurt them, but I can't take them off of here. So just to kind of open these up a little bit so you can see, this one, so let's talk about more modern points. That and that is a true arrowhead. This is the most modern one that I've ever found. I found this in Greenwood, Mississippi at my salesman's farm. We went looking up there, and that is a pristine, beautiful, actual arrowhead. That went on an arrow shot out of a bow and arrow. This is probably what they call either a fish point or a bird point. Has a broken tip. That's light enough to be put on an arrow. Probably weighs 75, 80 grains if I had to guess. But this is the best one I've ever found, that one. And I didn't find this anywhere near a place where I think they were living for a long time. And this most likely is a knife.
Oh,
okay. So they would probably put this on the end of a small stick, a small piece of wood, or maybe like a leg bone of an animal or something, and then take sinew and tie it in, etc. But feel the edge of that one. If you think this one's sharp, that one is like, we could literally skin a deer with that.
Wow.
And so this is most likely a knife. I'll tell you something else that's really interesting. So you got a lot of different styles here. So like, for example, this one here, hold that for a second. Hold that giant boar tusk for. So these are kind of similar in shape, but that one is a different style. So this one probably got discarded because it has a broken post down there. But then look at this one. So these are probably thousands of years old by totally different, I don't say tribes, but communities of people, because the style is so different for them to be in the same area. But look at the quality between this one and that one. So what's been explained to me is that the ones that are the most refined, the nicest, are the oldest. That's the ones that they put the most effort in. They treated it like a craft. They treated it like it was like an art form. And then as time went on and they needed function over form, they started to crank out stuff like this, where that was now a finished product. This is now, okay, let's put it on a you know, a atlatl or a spear and let's go. This isn't nearly as sharp. I mean, you need a lot of force to kill something with that.
Yeah.
But this was nearly disposable to them. This is like the Harbor Freight of of points and artifacts, whereas this one would be like top tier.
Snap on.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. So these are neat. This is out of a big boar that I killed in the woods. These are huge.
Daggone.
But we'll just kind of go through and see all the ones that we've got. These are mainly arrowheads and points and even broken ones. But look how long that that tip is on that one right there. Isn't that neat? And it broke over here. And a lot of times, if they broke them or they broke a tip off, they'd repurpose them. So, here, would you hold those for a second? Get it out of the way. So, what I mean by that is there's a chance that this one used to be this long, and when they broke the tip off, they repurposed it into this shape here to try and get a second use out of it. And so that has a big impact on a lot of the shapes that we end up with. But then, you know, look at this one. This one was made at 4:30 on a Friday. You know, not exactly the best looking one that we've got.
I found one that looks like that in Alabama one time.
But it kind of begs the question, like, okay, were there like, did everybody make these? Was there like one guy in the community that made it? Like, was this his apprentice that was making his third one ever? Is this the 5,000th one from the main guy? Like, it's just interesting because we don't know how it was handled. Now, going further into this one, this is a really cool one. This is what's called a celt, C-E-L-T, and this is essentially an axe. And if you feel that, it's crazy smooth on the end. Like,
holy smokes.
really
Wow.
smooth. And it is a little broken and chipped, but this would go into the end of a fork stick, and then they would tie it off with sinew, and like this is what they would use to cut down trees, split wood, things like that, probably build dugout canoes, etc. These are all either preforms or scrapers being like a hide scraper. And these are just, you know, the one that I found earlier, wherever it went.
I think we left it out there.
Yeah, I left it out there. I'll probably put that one in here. And then where this is a clay marble. They used to play a lot of games with the clay marbles, a good bit. I obviously don't know any of the games, but there's a lot of data on that. This is a piece of petrified wood, marbles from the field, old coins from like 1940, just cool stuff. This is another celt right there. I've got two of these. I thought I had I don't know where the other one is. But this is actually made out of a material that's only found in Michigan. It's got iron ore in it, and that is magnetic. Like I can take a magnet and it will stick to that magnet.
And you found that here in Mississippi?
I found that in Mississippi. And so stuff like that, and then also some other specific types of points are proof that there was trade going on.
Yeah.
These people were traveling long distance.
Mm-hmm.
And one theory about this material is that the glaciers that came from the north that made the Great Lakes and things like that also made it down south all the way to Missouri. So it doesn't necessarily mean that this came from Michigan by a person, but it was picked up in Michigan by a glacier, and over 1 million years it was brought down to Missouri, and then the people from here went to Missouri, got that stuff, brought it back. It's fascinating,
yeah,
the trade of this area. But, you know, to put it in perspective, this isn't really that comparable. We've been in America, we've been in America for 300 years, mm-hmm. and look what we've done. Now, obviously, we have technology and advancements and et cetera, but these people were here for 13,000 years. Not all one person, obviously, but generations. And so this is what they leave behind. So look how much stuff we have in 300 years, and then I'm fine and just scratching the surface on what they've left behind.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Pretty cool.
So you find a lot of these on the same property that you hunt. I'm just curious, like what's that mean for you? Like, because you're hunting the place and you're finding this stuff from people who were hunting it that long ago, hunting the same animals.
Yeah. Probably
some different animals too, but the same animals. I mean, that's cool.
It is cool. Yeah, back then they had giant sloths. There were a few other things back then that are extinct now, and I'm not exactly sure about what is it, mastodons.
Oh, yeah.
We find mastodon teeth in a lot of the creeks around here. When the Mississippi River gets really low, we find a lot of things that aren't around anymore, like artifacts, bones, teeth, etc. But giant sloths were around back then. They had a lot of animals that would happily kill you and eat you for dinner that we don't have right now. You know,
Dude, how would you like to kill a Boone and Crockett ground sloth?
dude. Every time I go in the woods, that's what my expectation is. Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man.
But it's really cool to be doing the same thing thousands of years later that the people that lived here originally came to do. Now, granted, they don't quite have as much dead-in-hand technology and anti-vibration and shootability of their bows like we do now, right? Because that's what's important, the shootability. But they are hunting with bows and arrows. They were using spears and atlatls. Speaking of that, I think it'd be really cool if we got a spear season. We're about to start lobbying for a spear season in Mississippi because I'm tired of seeing Jonathan Bordelon do cool stuff. Jonathan Moreland do cool stuff like that we can't legally do here. So we want to get into that. But yeah, I'm going to bring that up. I've got some friends that are lobbyists, and we'll see if we can make that happen.
Dude, you're gonna nap a point and go stick
Dude,
one?
That's the how else am I gonna one up Jonathan Moreland? Be like, oh, you made a spear out of rebar? Oh, that's cool. I made one.
Well, I went and found a rock.
I made one out of the cypress limb and an old arrowhead. Yeah. So
Yeah, go find an arrowhead in the field and then go kill a deer with it.
Dude,
That
yeah.
would be kind of sick, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and then you have to do it in the same day. You have to find an arrowhead, lash it to something natural.
Go grab your sinew from
Yep.
the house.
That's it. Yeah, it's the only way you can one up that dude because he's such a killer and doing stuff the coolest way. But it means a lot. It's really cool to share the same space and to have that history involved with it. It's exciting because we're not that different from them. We just live now and they lived back then. But back then, I'm sure they had technological advancements that they thought were as impactful to like giving them a leg up on hunting as we have now.
That's cool. I kind of imagine them having deer camp like we just had deer camp here, you know?
Yeah.
A bunch of dudes sitting around the fire on a trip.
Recording a podcast.
Yeah, bro. Dude, YouTube videos?
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. I appreciate it, buddy.
no problem.
Appreciate everyone watching this video. If you like this is a little different. This is something outside of what we normally do. Let us know down in the comments. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you back here on the next one from the Southern Outdoorsman. And remember, guys, y'all stay Southern.